2, 1. It is a pleasure to meet you guys. Thank you for coming by and doing this. Before we get into it and we get started, if you just want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Lily.
I'm Faye.
Sweet.
We're sisterbaby.
Sweet. We love you guys for coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't edit. Like, if there's parts about it afterwards you want me to take out, I will. I have no problem with doing that. But no, I run this through an AI editor, and it just chops it up for me.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And yeah, now it saves me like 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
And it
sure.
does it in like 45 seconds. And I'm like, that's why you're taking over. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's impressive.
Congratulations on the EP, like I was saying beforehand, before we started shooting. Congratulations. It sounds great.
Thank you so much.
It's not, I'll be honest, it's not my preferred like music genre. I don't know if you can tell.
That's all right.
Probably, but it's great. I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
I want to say I found out about you guys because of Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
And the first song I heard from you guys was Aristotle Doesn't Live Here.
Nice.
And I dug that a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it seems like these people are actually serious about it. They're really, like, they love what they do. How long has music been a part of your life?
Since
Forever.
birth, I would say. Yeah, our dad is a musician, so he kind of raised us
Come
around
a
music.
little closer to the...
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Yeah, our dad is a musician, so he kind of raised us around music all the time. Yeah.
And did you guys start playing at an early age? Were you always singing? Were you playing, like, musical instruments? Like...
We were put into piano lessons, all of us, by the time we were like 6, I think. And yeah, then we all would join the worship team when we turned 11. So we grew up in church, and there was a youth worship band, and by the time we were 11 we could be a part of that. So that was like our main like experience with music, and playing with a band was actually like in church.
Oh, shit. That seems to be a common denominator
It's
for
a good way to learn,
lot of
yeah.
Albuquerque musicians is
Yeah.
growing up in the church.
Yeah.
What was that like? Were you guys, I mean, if you don't mind me asking like, about religious, like, I'm Christian myself, and I grew up in a very predominant Christian household, like half Christian, and my dad's side was a lot more Catholic, because they weren't even Hispanic, they're just straight up like Mexican, so very very Catholic. Growing up in that environment, was like, talking like music influences, were you guys kind of given like, hey, you can listen to whatever you want? Was it like, hey, we need to look over what you're listening to? Was it like, what was that like as a kid?
It was a little bit of both, because our dad's a pastor, so we grew up not only
so
Christian
they
but
were
pastor's
like
kids.
scanning your fucking lyrics and
No,
shit.
actually not, because my dad's dad, my grandpa, is also a pastor, and so my dad grew up like Baptist, and so they were more controlling when it comes to like what he listened to, and him and his sister would like secretly listen to like U2 in their bedroom and all that kind
Secretly
of stuff.
listening to U2
I know, it's
is
like,
the most Christian.
I know. It's
We
like,
hid
whoa,
under the
you're
blankets
crazy.
and read Harry Potter.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
seriously.
We weren't allowed to watch Harry
We weren't allowed
Potter.
to watch Harry Potter for a while.
Were you given the like it's witchcraft?
The
it's
witchcraft
the devil.
tag.
That's because my
Yes.
mom, like, up and down, did not allow me to like watch any of that. And when I think it was the last movie that came out. Yeah, the second part of the 7th movie when that came out, because my one of my best friends growing up, his mom and dad were his dad was a pastor, mom was a worship leader and like vocal coach and all that stuff.
Nice.
And they had to like, I'm not making this, they had to like sit my mom down and be like, listen, it's not satanic. There are actual Christian allegories in this
Yeah,
story.
true. Yeah,
And she basically like I remember this, his mom sat my mom down and like spoiled all of Harry Potter for her and like broke down the like Christian messages inside, and she was like, I guess he can go see. I'm like, that took a 45-minute lecture.
Yeah, no, it's actually like, yeah, there's a lot of those. Sorry.
No, you're good.
There's a lot of those allegories in there. And like, we were raised on like Lord of the Rings, which is kind of funny, because I'm like, how different are they? But I guess J.R. Tolkien was a Christian author.
Yeah, he was like C.S. Lewis
Yeah.
in the
They were
way
friends.
that yeah, they were friends. That's right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, they infused the religious. I don't want to like dumb it down, but like the archetypes of the Bible,
sure.
they put into their stories very
Yeah.
much so. So it was easy to like. I remember growing up, I went to a Lutheran school for middle school, and like basically half of our reading was like all of J.R. Tolkien stuff, like down to the Silmarillion and shit like that, just because like they didn't want us to get too bored, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, this is all Christian based
Yeah.
stuff.
For sure.
So what were your musical other than fucking U2?
Hey, don't bash
U2.
I have nothing against U2 except for the fact that they forced all of us to listen to one of their albums on our iPods.
True.
Oh,
For
my dad
the
had
Apple.
the U2 iPod.
Oh, no.
Like that was signed by them. I think
Yeah.
he
Oh,
still
shit.
has it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
Okay.
like actually signed. It was like an Apple like
Oh,
crossover
right,
with them.
right.
It like had their signature. It was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It is funny that they like forcibly downloaded their album on
That's
every
strange,
album.
right?
It is,
It's
yeah.
strange, right?
It was
Yeah,
strange.
it worked.
And it was like the weird cover too, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like hugging the
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Whoa, what's that?"
That's a fucking like a core memory, right?
for
Yeah,
sure.
totally.
But what did you guys? So I listened to a bit of your podcast episode you guys did with Badass Colt. I don't
Yeah.
want to listen to the whole thing; I don't want to spoil the whole story. But
Okay.
I picked up from that you two are personality type wise very like opposite, type A, type B, type shit. So what were you guys listening to as kids? Were your musical tastes different? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the amazing people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, they are the original sponsor of this podcast, and I could not be happier to continue to be working with these guys. I get it. It's New Mexico. Everyone loves red, green, both. But this genuinely is my favorite brand of chili here in the state of New Mexico, and I love being able to partner up with these guys. They are absolutely phenomenal. Zane and the rest of the team at Chop Chili do an amazing job running that company, and they make an absolutely phenomenal product. And right now, they are running a very special promotional on their Instagram. Go check them out on Instagram. Go give them a follow. And as they post pictures with the hashtag Where's My Chili Challenge, if you can guess where in New Mexico that picture was taken, you can win not only free red or green chili, but also a free custom t-shirt directly from the company themselves. Again, go check them out on Instagram, give them a follow, check out their hashtag Where's My Chili Challenge. Win yourself some free chili, win yourself some free shirts. They are also available in Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, and a ton of other grocery stores in the state of New Mexico, as well as El Paso, and they are expanding out to West Texas. Again, thank you so much to Zane and the rest of his amazing team over at Chop Chili. Back to the episode. Or like influences different at all?
I mean, I think our dad showed us really good music growing up, just like all the classics. But as we got older, I don't know, we like diverged and then we kind of came back together.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird, but there was a bit where I was like into hip hop and she was into like Paramore and like the more like, I don't know, pop
and folk
rock.
and
Yeah.
indie and stuff.
And then we kind of ended up like circling back to each other. So I don't know. I feel like we have different influences, but we have a similar taste, which works out when we're making music together, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense because one of the things I like most about your style of music is that it's very synergetic. And so I think it works in your benefit that both of you guys have different personality types.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's like, it's very cliche, but the yin and yang, right?
Yeah,
it works because if
definitely.
you're both, very, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but you're very passive. Right? If you're both passive, then not a lot will get done. No one's
Right.
really holding anybody accountable. But if you're both hyperactive, then that kind of just comes to a head and you're butting heads all the time
Yeah,
and
for
arguing. And I'm sure arguments happen, but,
Yeah,
more so than usual. And it almost becomes a power struggle.
totally.
And you see that a lot with, bands in general, but I think that's why there's not a lot of like musical duos anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be completely honest, the most recent musical duo that's coming to mind right now is fucking Allie and AJ.
Oh,
If you-
wow.
That's the
deep cut.
yeah, that's the last one. Because who else is there really?
21 Pilots, though, duo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Yeah.
21
Everyone kind of forgot about them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
you
did
know,
they go?
Well, you put out a shitty song with a shitty movie, Suicide Squad. It's not gonna.
yeah.
It's not, and that's coming from an obvious like comic book dork. All right, that movie
Yeah.
sucks, and
Yeah.
so you hit your horse to that wagon. It's not gonna work out too well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But as you guys are growing up and so I imagine a lot of your like musical teachings are coming from being in the worship band, right?
For sure.
Were there any idea of like, this is something I want to do forever? This is like really want to put time into. It's hard to have those thoughts as a young age, but like, a lot of people have that. Like, oh man, this is kind of fun. I just want to. It's not like I want to do this as a career, but it's like this is really fun. I want to keep doing it. Was that a thought process back then?
I would almost say, like, this is arguable, but in my experience, I felt like it was almost the opposite. Whereas, like, when you're playing worship, there's this idea that it's like there can't be any performative aspects to that, and it has to be very like centered on God, which I totally respect. But the idea of being an artist is like very vain and kind of discouraged. And I feel like a lot of worship leaders are closeted rock stars. Like they're people that
well, a lot of Christian people are closeted something. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, but yeah, not that it was ever. It was just never like a thought to do secular music, honestly. And for me, at least, I didn't start writing secular music, or at least showing my secular songs to people until like last year.
I mean, the fact you're calling it secular. You know what I mean? That's not a knock on anything. That's just like the environment you grew up in.
Yeah. And if you like listen to our music, there are hopeful themes throughout. Like we didn't go completely opposite, like writing about the most dark things or like crazy partying things, but like we still have that kind of hopeful and positive influence in it without it being like this is Jesus or
well, because how do I put this? Like, so the modern, I have a lot of issues with like the modern version of church. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the amazing people over at High Desert Relief, a premier herbal destination right here in the state of New Mexico. They have extremely well-trained and knowledgeable staff that are more than happy to help you find what you're looking for or try something that you maybe have never thought of before. They have 2 locations right here in Albuquerque and a 3rd in Santa Fe. All 3 will be listed in the description of this episode below. All 3 locations offering legendary products at absolutely legendary prices, including this awesome merch that they were so kind enough to give me. They can be found at all 3 of the locations. Again, big thank you to all the people over at HDR. Back to the episode. The big like mega church style. It looks like a concert. It's very like... It's like they're pandering to the masses, that type of thing. And on its face, I don't like it. But when you start uncovering the layers, it's kind of stuff you guys kind of alluded to, where it's like, well, being an artist is shown as a bad thing, and you can't be about yourself. And I was like, no. Like, and I found this out a lot now that I'm starting to do stand up in the way that I write my material, because I say horrendous fucking things on stage. I mean, I was talking to a buddy of mine, an old friend of mine, who wants to get into stand up, and he was like, yeah. I tried doing improv here, but I made a joke about midgets and I got like excommunicated from the fucking... like, first of all, the fact you got excommunicated from an improv group's kind of gay, but that's kind of dumb. But it's all about like what's like who are you as a person? Like, where's it coming from? Like, and if you're bringing it to a religious standpoint, it's God knows your heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? He knows if you're going about this stuff with horrible intentions. And I was telling him, like, dude, my material, my set, I talk about suicide, pedophilia. I talk about Christianity. I talk about politics, the military, my experiences. I talk about horrible things. But it's the conduit. It's the vehicle that I use to get to my points. It's not at anybody's expense. It's just we're all here to laugh.
Yeah.
And the jokes that I make about Christianity isn't making fun of Jesus, and it's not making fun of God. It's not making fun of my experience and the things that I went through. And like since you guys grew up in the church, did you guys ever do lock-ins? Like, was that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Church lock-ins? So I have a bit about that. That either makes a room burst in laughter, or I can tell who the hard Christians are, because they're like, we don't want to recognize that those things happen in a lock-in, but it's like, no, it's funny. Let's laugh about it, because it's very silly to lock preteens in a church alone together. I think that's very stupid.
It's crazy.
I lost half a toenail because of that, actually.
What the fuck?
That's
Am I allowed to ask what you were doing?
Well, we were playing the game Assassin. I don't know if you were playing. It's kind of like Mafia, but like in like real life. Like you just kind of...
It's like Among Us.
Yeah, it's kind of like Among
Us.
In modern before Among Us.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, that was a terrible...
to give it something that everyone will
Something
understand.
that more people would understand.
That the kids know.
Yeah.
Basically, like 1 or 2 people is like the killer, and they go around like doing this to people, and then if that happens to you, you die and you fall on the floor, and then all the other people are trying to catch the killer, and so we're basically running around this church when it's pitch black, and I was barefoot because I was always barefoot as a kid, and one of my friends swung open this door, and it hit my toe, and I dropped to the floor and like grabbed my toe. And I could feel the pieces of my nail like shifting between my fingers, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
And yeah, so I lost like half of my toe. I was like bleeding everywhere. It was really painful, but it was still fun. I'd do it again. The assassin was fun. I always loved playing that game.
That's funny. Yeah, we had like Nerf wars and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we did our best to not trash the church, but like we're a bunch of idiot young boys.
Yes.
So we think we're in Call of Duty the whole time. So anyway, yeah. So my point is like, God knows the intention of your heart,
Right.
and if you're making music to glorify the uglier parts of life through a real like, with not good intentions, I mean that's you got to take that up between you and what you believe in. But if you're just going to talk about stuff and what the message that you're going to get across to your audience, or even just express for yourselves. Who gives a fuck if people don't like it? Who gives a fuck if people don't like what you do in general? But, if you're worried about stuff like that, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're just going out there to say wild shit, just to say wild shit, that's one thing. But if you have a message behind it, if you have purpose behind it,
Yeah.
that's and that's something I really like about what you guys have been putting out recently with the EPs. Like, the songs are pretty well written. You know what I mean? I like a lot. I don't understand a lot of it, I'll be honest.
You can ask questions.
Maybe that speaks to my own intellect. But I really enjoy the fact that you guys actually, it seems like you guys care about your songwriting,
Totally.
like your songwriting process.
Yeah.
But you enjoy that.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I
really
mean?
important.
Yeah, obviously we like the sound of it, and that matters a lot to us, but like the root of everything is the lyrics and the story we're telling.
When did you start writing your material, like your current songs? Like when did that all start for you, moving away from things that are just strictly religious based?
I mean, I wrote Fishbowl when I like started questioning my beliefs and kind of moving away from Christianity. So that was a while ago. That was probably like 3 or 4 years now. But the title track on the EP, we wrote a year ago. It was last August. And that kind of became the theme of the EP, and we kind of built around that. And we also noticed with our writing, we were writing about our childhood and our shared experiences as sisters, and kind of like what we have gone through like throughout adolescence. And that felt like the last song feels like where we're at now, kind of. And so we kind of wrote around that to tell this story with the rest of the EP. So it's been a year of putting these songs together, I would say. All of them, except for Fishbowl, were written within the last year.
And what would you say the overarching theme is then?
Just growing pains is what we've kind of always come back to. Just kind of talking about our journey growing up, questioning things, going through change, and moving through that. Not always the most gracefully, but coming out and on a positive note and a hopeful note for whatever will come.
Accepting kind of like what you've been through and accepting who you are finally.
Yeah, and processing everything as well. Yeah, because I think music for us like is really a healing thing, and it allows us to process some of the things that we like didn't even realize that had happened to us, or didn't even realize that affected us so much. Like, I think it really came out in our music, and like Lily was saying, our songwriting. Our songwriting like can be elevated by the fact that we have shared experiences but different perspectives on some things. So that's important for us.
Because you guys are a year apart from each other, right?
A year and a half. Yeah.
Yes, you're almost growing up as twins, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, very, very close in age.
People call us twins all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of shared experiences there, and that makes perfect sense. If you mind me asking how, because again, I like your guys' songwriting in the music you're putting out, but what I also really respect about you guys is that you've only been doing this for like a year, right? Mm-hmm. How old are you guys, if you mind me asking?
I'm 21.
I'm 19.
Okay, so that's fucking crazy, first of all. I'll just put that out there. That's fucking crazy. But not only are you guys putting out music and you've ingrained yourself in the music side of Albuquerque, but you guys are actually contributing to the music scene. Like, you guys are holding an open mic. And for people that aren't involved in anything like that, it's like, oh, okay, that's an open mic. Okay, who gives a fuck? But like, that's like, I was strongly considering, because I was trying to figure out as I got into stand-up, like, okay, I want to do just more than just stand-up comedy. Like, I want to add to the stand-up scene. There's a lot to add, a lot that can be added. It's not new, but like this new version of it. And outside looking in, from what I've seen from the music community as well, the post-COVID side of things, right? It's all very new. Things are flourishing. Seems like new bands and new musicians are coming pretty much every month. Same thing with stand-ups. It's like, okay, there's a lot to be added. What can I add? And for a while there, I was like, yeah, I could do an open mic. I could do one night a week to host an open mic and do that and the other. No.
It's a lot of work. It is a lot.
Well, it's not always a lot of work. It's the time that it takes. How long is your guys' open mic for?
We do it 6:30. Well, we get
We
there
get there
at
like 5:30, and we don't leave till like 9:30.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
And on top of that, we're both full-time students and part-time like employees.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it's a lot,
It's
but
worth it, though.
yeah, it's worth it. It's really cool to see like the community that we've built.
Yeah, because you guys, that's the right way to go about it, especially at the ground level. It's not like, I don't think this is a stretch to say, it's not like you guys can, get people connected to like get booked at Sunshine or fucking Launchpad or El Rey or like Revel. So I was like, no, we can't do that. So I had the same thought process, right? So I can't get people booked anywhere, but I could do an open mic, see what that looks like. And eventually I turned into doing, me and my buddy AJ, we do shows at Safe House now for stand-up.
Cool.
So we get to actually book people now for that, but it's like a free show at a bar. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly a fucking club.
Yeah.
But,
Something.
yeah, exactly. It's something to add, right? It's something to give them. So what made you guys want to start an open mic, and what's kept you committed to doing it? And where's it at, by the way? Before we get into it.
It's at the Albuquerque Collective. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
The Albuquerque Collective, yeah. So
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday night, sign-ups are at 6:30.
And where's that at?
It's off of
Eubank.
Constitution and Eubank.
Yeah.
Perfect part of town.
Yeah, it's great. We love it. But yeah, we kind of started with open mics, like playing at open mics, playing our own music at open mics.
How many open mics are there aside from your guys'
there's
for
a
music?
lot.
For music, really?
Yeah, there's Nob Hill Stage. Edgar Wonder hosts Nob Hill Stage every Tuesday night. There used to be one at Albuquerque Distilling that Felix Peralta used to host, and sometimes Derek Sanyotti Wild would host.
There's one at Ancora.
There's one at Ancora, which is also, I think they just moved it to Thursday nights as well.
Where's that at? Ancora?
Ancora is,
on Copper.
yeah, it's like near Nob Hill.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but
But I think you were saying we were trying to just like provide that opportunity for more people, and I think, like, to be completely honest, we love the idea of open mics, and the start that they gave us, but didn't always have the best experiences with them, and wanted to kind of like.
In what way, if you don't mind me asking?
Just the idea of the open mic, I believe, is to make it a place where everyone's welcome, and we weren't always seeing that. And also, it's just like, it can be intimidating if there isn't, if you don't create that environment. You have to create that environment, and it's like, it takes a lot of intention. And so there's just one day where I was kind of like, I should just do this. Like, I know what I would like to see in an open mic. Why not, like, create it myself? And I also used to manage the coffee shop at the Collective, so I did have that connection, and that's kind of how we got our foot in the door there. So I was like, I have a place to do it, and Faye and I, like, appreciate open mics, and we just kind of wanted to do it in a way that felt more inclusive and welcoming. And that's not to, like, say any shade to other open mics, but it does take extra care to, like, create that environment.
What do you think goes into that for you guys anyway?
Well, something that we do, we're very good at splitting up the open mic between us. Like, Lily works the coffee shop, and she helps a lot with the, obviously, the setup and the sound. And then we both like reach out to people and like personally invite them so they feel like they're welcome to come and play their music. And then I have a notebook that I bring every week, and I write down every single artist, their Instagram, the shows that are coming up, if they're on streaming. And then before every act, I always announce that and tell people about the artist before they come up, just to give them a shout out, even if like nothing comes of it, just to like make it more personal and organized.
Well, it's cool to have like credits read for you before you go up on a stage and do something. It's cool. Like before I go up, like at the local club downtown, like, do you want us to plug your podcast? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That'd cool.
Be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
sure.
It's and it makes people feel welcome. It makes them feel like they're like you guys brought this up on that episode you did, and it really fucking struck a nerve because it's a interesting thing to convince yourself that you are what you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
it's like, even because I haven't settled with being called a stand-up at all. That hasn't really like, I'm cool with being a podcaster. Like I've put enough money into it, put enough of my friends' money into it. Thanks guys. And I've been doing it for almost 4 years now. So I'm cool with that. I'm okay. I feel like I'm okay at this. I feel like people like it enough. All right, that's fine. But like, and I feel like you guys, look at musicians and artists in the same respect. You hold it to such a high regard, so to like give yourself the same title as people that you respect so much. Like that's strange. That's weird. I don't know if I'm okay with that yet.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm certainly not. You know what I mean? But then to, before you go up or whenever you're doing these things out in public, it's like, yeah, okay, I think I'm this now.
Yeah.
I think I can be this.
Yeah, and the thing that's really awesome about having a weekly open mic is that we can see these people grow. Like we've literally watched them go from, oh yeah, I don't want to plug anything, oh I don't have anything or whatever, to being like, actually I have a show, or actually, yeah, I'll plug my Instagram. And it's super cool to like, I don't know, just to support those people, and to see regulars come back, and then also every once in a while like a brand new person that I've never seen in the scene before. So yeah.
No, it's cool. And I think by doing that, you allow people to go up there and actually try their best. And I think, and this is not because I go to open mics regularly, but this is not throwing shade at anybody, but I think what makes an open mic the most open to people and makes it the most inviting, I guess, is giving people the space to go up there and absolutely eat shit.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course.
You
That's
have
the
to
biggest
do
part of
that.
it.
You have to eat shit a little before you get good.
You have to shovel it. in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, but no, if you see, like, I mean, that was me. Like, I'm still getting, so I'm only a year into it, but like going and seeing other people eat a dick on stage, I'm like, oh, okay, I can't be that bad.
Yeah.
All right, this could be, and then you do worse than them. It's like, oh, okay,
Okay.
But it's okay.
But,
Yeah.
but now you know how that feels.
Yeah.
And it's like the next time you go see the same people, and you're like, all right, let's do it. Let's bang our head against the wall again. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens. And you just go over and over, and it's cool. I agree with you from that producing standpoint, to be able to see people like, oh yeah, like a month ago, you were like here, and now you're like here. That's cool. If you keep going 6 months from now, you could be here, and then
Right.
and it just builds, and it's like I'm not a money guy, but like compound interest. It keeps going, and you're investing in yourself, doing that type of thing. How do you guys find yourself getting yourselves booked for shows? At least something that's not really talked about a whole lot, right? Just while on the subject, how do you find yourselves getting booked for shows? Is it from advertising yourselves on social media? Is it making connections with people? Is like, where do you see yourself doing that? Where do you see what's most fruitful, I guess?
Yeah. I suppose social media, because we kind of get like, we just get people asking if we would like to play a show. And we like to do shows that are like meaningful to us, or that we feel like align kind of with like where we're at. We try not to do like a ton of shows. We try to make them more sparse, like once a month, so we can really like hone in. And we just had the EP release that was like very special. We did the sharing women's stories through song show, which was like something
At
important
Echoes,
to us.
right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
I
things-
wasn't able to go to that, but I saw that. It looked like it was really well put together. So
Yeah.
congratulations
Shout
for
out
that.
to Sandy. Yeah.
Sandy.
It's a cool thing, that we were like, oh, like if something pops out to us, not so much people just trying to get a slot filled, but something that's kind of like has some purpose. And that's, again, no shade to like venues that are trying to just get music, but I think we can accredit that to just like honestly, social media, the way that like people have supported us and shared our music and the connections we've made, honestly,
Networking is a
open
huge
mics
thing,
and shows, going to shows, being like visible in the community and like showing up and supporting other artists at their shows, which I love. Like, I'm obsessed with, and I've been doing that for the past 2 years, and I was just going to local shows. Like, I discovered a like love for that, and now being a part of that, like as a musician, is like, it's cool. But yeah, I definitely it's good to support people. And
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's the biggest piece of advice. There's a really good stand-up in town named Steph Darnell. Super nice guy. He's been doing it for like 13, 14 years. And one of the biggest pieces of advice he gave to me about getting booked at shows is like, okay, barring being talented, like you have to be funny, you have to be musically inclined, or at least have the potential to do well in whatever craft you're doing. But if you want to be on a show that's not like, you know, an established, like, I no matter how many times I go up to Bernalillo, I go to Casadas, I'm not gonna get booked at Casadas. Like, that's a real comedy club. They book nationwide acts. Like, that's like, be talented to get there and get noticed and have put asses in seats. Like, that's a whole other beast. But like for the local shows, if you want to get booked there, go to them. Show your face. Show that you're willing to support and not just leech off of people.
Totally.
And just get spots and get shows where it's like, all right, cool, thanks guys, bye. It's like, no, I'm going to come here even if you're not going to book me, because I like what you guys are doing, so I want to be a part of it. I enjoy the art itself in general, so I get to go enjoy that. So yeah, just showing, and then being visible. Like, if you're not, and it's just an unfortunate thing, but it's the truth, if you're not regularly showing your face, whether it's social media wise or, I think it's most important, in person, you know, at these local events, at these open mics, whatever it is, people are going to kind of forget about you. Or it's like, oh yeah, I remember that name, they used to do whatever, but they kind of just fucked off. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, people are just going to like not really think about you when it comes time to like, oh, I need 3 musicians, or I need 3 bands. I haven't seen sisterbaby in like 8 months. I guess they kind of quit. Oh well. So, well, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing that starts to snowball and starts to happen if you're not as active. And because people get this weird mindset where it's like, oh yeah, I've done my part, I think I'm good enough, they can come to me. It's like, well, huge mid-sized acts don't get that privilege, so I don't think you get that privilege either.
Yeah, no, we never want to get like too big of a head that we're not gonna come and support other artists. Especially, like, we make it a point, if we're opening or if someone else is opening for us or if we're playing a festival, we show up for the whole time, and we show up before and we show up after our set, and we stay until the end of it. And so that's like one of our biggest things, is like, we're gonna support these other artists. Even if like the crowds that we bring leave or whatever, we're going to be there like as sisterbaby and like represent and show our support. So yeah, that's a big deal for us.
Is it like settled in that people, because you guys, like, you've been doing it for like a year, right? Or so. I've noticed you guys already draw a crowd. And that's a challenging thing to do in Albuquerque. I don't say that, obviously I don't say that as a negative, but like, it's a challenging thing to bring in a crowd in Albuquerque.
Yeah, we've got good friends.
And
the Woodies.
It's awesome. So like, is it starting to sink in that people kind of want to like stick around after the show to say hi to you guys, say congratulations? Like, is that cool with you guys? Yeah, is that like sunk in?
Oh yeah.
Past the whole like you're happy that it's happening, but it's like really owning it. Like, oh fuck.
I don't know that we've owned it yet.
Yeah.
We definitely struggle with the imposter
We welcome
syndrome.
it, but we just don't. Yeah, I mean, we've gotten. We were talking about this a little bit on the Badass Cult podcast, that we've gotten recognized a few times, which it's just like out in the wild.
That's
like,
fun, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy, because I know, like, then I'm like, okay, they probably know someone that we know. Like, it's not like them finding us on their own. But no, yeah, it still hasn't settled in, because like, I feel like we're pretty approachable people. So I want people to come and talk to us, but I don't want to be like, oh, hi. Thanks for listening. You know, I don't want to be like prissy or like, oh yeah, I deserve it. But like, I don't know. Got to have a balance between confidence and cockiness, for sure.
You need to have the confidence to, you know, get on stage and own your, you know, just stand behind your material. Because if you don't, I mean, the crowd's not going to. If you're kind of just up there phoning it in, they're like, oh, who the fuck are these people? All right, whatever. But especially in Albuquerque, as you guys start to grow and more people pay attention to you and so on and so forth, we meet more people, that's one of the things I love most about being in Albuquerque. Is like authenticity gets snuffed out like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people can tell that you're like, oh, they're kind of vain. They might be a little bit full of themselves, whatever. People might think that anyway and fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you give them reason to,
Yeah.
then it's like, all right, okay, whatever. We can go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So with the EP itself, theme being like growing pains, growing out, stuff like that. What song on that EP do you feel like is? I feel like you guys might have different answers for yourselves. What song stands out to you as like, I am so glad that we were able to actually complete this specific part of the project and put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, gosh, it's so hard. if I could say, like the first, middle, and last one, like I would, because I feel like they sandwich each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
But I might say Fishbowl, just because I feel like that song, it's right in the middle of the EP, and it's kind of like a shifting point of the project, and I feel like we were able to like build something around that, and the order of the songs is super intentional, and I feel like it kind of helped. And it was like that song we released as a single before the EP, and it really resonated with people, and that was the first one. Time Unspent was our first single, and people did resonate with that. You know, it was like a heartbreak song. Everyone's gonna relate. But Fishbowl was a little more, just like a little more vague, took a little more interpretation, and people had an amazing response to it. And it became our most popular song, and that was just kind of like mind-boggling to me because it felt so much more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
I
that
would
song's
say,
Lily's baby. For sure.
yeah, that's my baby. I never thought anyone would hear it.
Not even me.
Yeah, but do you have a different?
So before we move on from that,
Sure.
when you call it a shifting point, how do you feel the tone or the like thematic elements shift in that?
Well, there's like a literal answer, which is like the frequencies. It's like there's this idea that we're underwater the first half, and then the fishbowl breaks, and we realized more recently that the combination of the cymbal and the bells like sounds like glass shattering, and there's a
I thought you guys broke a plate.
I know it sounds like it, but we
Wasn't
didn't.
even-
Okay, I thought you guys broke a plate during that
No.
song.
No,
Yeah.
that's cool. We
That
really
would've
should
been cool.
have, but it sounds like it. And then, you know, the first three songs are kind of like childhood, and then the last three are just like coming into your own, essentially. So if that answers your question, and then after that, we're like out of the water. There's none of those like low frequencies. So that's the literal answer. But I think lyrically, there's definitely a shift in the kind of content that happens in the songs to follow.
Well, because I don't want to mess up your song names, because that one stood out to me, and then the second one that I really enjoyed, that I'm breaking my own rule. The one that I really enjoyed was the last one, No Not At All.
Yeah, I was going to say
good.
that. That was going to be my
It's very
answer.
good.
Yeah, that's so, like Lily was saying, that was like the first song we kind of wrote together to start the project. Like, I was just going through like a lot of change in my life, and I just had this like line going over and over in my head where I was like, I just want to go, like, it was just an urge for me. I was like, I just want to go somewhere that like I'm completely known and loved, and I don't have to like be anything else other than myself, because everyone already knows me. Or I want to go somewhere where I'm a complete stranger, and I can just be whoever I want to be, because these people don't have any expectations of me. So that was like just something that was going over and over in my head, and I came to Lily with that line, and then we kind of just started writing off of that, and then that like set the tone for the whole EP. And one of my favorite lines in that song is, I'm standing in a crowd with no one that I've made proud, because we were talking about in the other podcast that like our whole life we've kind of had a lot of people support us, which is such an amazing thing, but at some points like it'd be like, okay, do we deserve this, or do people have, like we were talking about, the like unconditional positive regard for us? So I'm like, when are we gonna really earn it in front of people that don't already have an expectation of us, if that makes any sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. That's a very well, I think it's a human aspect quality, but I feel like it's an American quality to be like, hey, like to question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this real? Is this again authentic? Is this like, if whatever is being presented to you at any point in your life, it's like, should I trust this? Mm-hmm. And obviously there's people that trust way too much, like all the time. There's people that don't trust nearly enough, and then there's the very few that find themselves in the happy medium. It's a spectrum, right? But I feel it's a very human quality to like want to be like, hey, you know what? I want to just leave. I just need to
Start over.
I just need to fucking even if just for a little bit, just go and have a break somewhere. That's not really a more of a mental vacation than like a physical vacation.
Yeah.
Do you still find yourself kind of having those types of feelings where it's like I want to either be somewhere or you said you grew up with like people giving you a lot of love and support. Do you still feel like you want to break away from stuff like that? Do you feel like you're starting to get more comfortable in that? Because you're getting, I'd imagine, your accolades now because of that EP coming out. Do you feel like, am I asking this right? Because I felt my own train of thought derail. Like in the middle of that sentence.
It happens to me all of the time. My friends always joke about how I go on like a million goose chases while I'm telling one story, which I'm doing right now.
It's like fucking Michael Scott, where he's like, I sometimes just start a sentence and I don't know where it's going.
I don't know where it's going. No, yeah, I feel that. I think I understand what you're saying. Like, do I still have that urge to get away? Yeah, for sure. I'm one of the busiest people you'll ever know. My parents like joke that I'm gone more than I'm home. Because I'm just always on the go. And I don't know if you know anything about the Enneagram. I don't know if we should go way into this, but it's like a personality test type thing, and there's
what's it called?
The Enneagram
with an E.
And
I don't like putting on my phone during the podcast, but I gotta figure out what the fuck you just said.
Yeah, sorry.
How do you spell it?
ENNEAGRAM.
Oh yeah, Enneagram test.
So yeah, it's like a personality thing, and it's like 1 through 9, numbers 1 through 9, and if you ever get the chance to take the test or research it, whatever, I'm a 7, and like one of the biggest characteristics about a 7 is like they're always on the go, constantly on the go.
You're a enthusiast.
I'm the enthusiast.
I'm gonna guess, Noah, right now with barely knowing you that you would be an 8.
Yeah.
And an 8 is a challenger. Yeah, that's a way to put it. Mushrooms had a big part in that. Mushrooms had a huge part in that.
But yeah, well, that's like one of the biggest characteristics of a 7 is like we're just like kind of like always on the go, always have to be busy, and so sometimes I just have to force myself to slow down. I have to force myself to go somewhere where I can be alone, or just go somewhere where I don't feel like I have to like try. Like if that's like just spending time with my family or like my loved ones.
You hear that, family? She ain't got to try around you.
Yeah, nah, I'm just me around, which is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Yeah, like.
Well, you shouldn't have to feel performative all the time.
Right.
That's not good for anybody, and I would never advocate for burnout. You know what I mean? Like, but I would advocate. This is a message that's given a lot to men in general, but young men, and I think it applies to everybody, especially the creative types, especially when you're young. Like, 'cause I'm only 27 myself, right? So when you're young, you really should be out as much as you can be doing productive things, right? Like go let loose, drink, party, whatever, be as safe as you can, but whatever, But you should be spending the grand majority of your time seeing how far you can go with things, like with yourself. Like, can you work for an extra 15, 30, 45 minutes? Can you spend an extra however amount of time writing in a studio setting, in the gym, whatever it is you do with your life that you feel is benefiting you, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, physically, whatever that is, you should be spending, because this is when you have the most energy, right? So spend as much time now, pushing yourself, rather than 10 to 15 years later, you're looking back and you're like, fuck.
I didn't do anything.
Not that I didn't do anything. I think what's worse than that is I didn't do enough.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's a fucking bro science term. I forget what the term is. But it's like when you see yourself in the gym and you have a pump, you have this window into the future, right? This window into like, oh, I could be like in that much more shape. It's only like 5% than you are right now, but it's like you see like a little bit, right? It's like, oh, that could be me if I keep working harder. But you never get as in shape as that, because it's always the better version. But you get to see that for a window. So apply that logic to your music, to your songwriting, to everything you do in your daily life. It's like, as you're working and as you're in the groove with everything, it's like, oh yeah, I kind of see what this could look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, if I keep at this pace.
Totally.
Well, you have the energy to. But if you get derailed, you get distracted, life can just happen, right? The shit happens. And, like a lot of people, like, oh yeah, people just give up because they quit and they just, or they, you know, they don't believe in themselves or they fall out. Like, no, life can happen where you physically cannot do these things anymore.
Right.
But while you're on the positive side of life right now, which it seems like, again, I barely know you guys, but it seems like you are on the more positive side of things. You're able to pull out a well-functioning, produced EP. It's like, okay, now, iron's hot. Do it now.
Yeah.
So that, you know, decade down the line, it's like, what could have been? Oh, well. So it's like that kind of thing. But I wouldn't advocate for burnout, but yeah, definitely push yourself more than you
Yeah.
think you should.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if I speak for both of us when I say this, but we kind of grew up, we went to a small school, you know, we were like very active in like our church community, but we kind of were in a smaller bubble for a lot of our life. So I think for me, once I reached college, I was like, okay, not that I wasted time in my early years, but I was just like,
I was 12 years old. I should have been fucking...
No, yeah. I mean, I still think about that. But yeah, you know, like I went
Okay, that's bad. Don't do that.
Well, yeah, because I've been playing an instrument since I was 12. Like, well, I played piano, like we were saying, but like I played bass guitar and I kind of fell off of it because I'm like should have been grinding when I was 12, but it's fine. When I first got my bass, but anyways, I just kind of like was in a smaller bubble for a lot of my life. So I think like as soon as I broke out of that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and just keep going kind of not make up for lost time, but
I mean, you guys both grew up in Albuquerque, I'm assuming,
yeah.
right? So Albuquerque itself is a small bubble. I mean, as I was setting everything up, you guys were looking at the banners like,
Yeah,
oh, I know this
that's my
person and
friend.
this person and this person. Everybody knows everybody. It's a very small,
Yeah.
like very insulated, I guess, you know what I mean? Like if you can't, especially in the circles you guys run in, you can't walk out and run into somebody that you either don't already know or you know somebody once removed from that person.
Right.
So it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't be too. But anyway, so about the last song, why did that stick out to you specifically again?
Oh yeah, sorry, because it's it's kind of what started it all, the whole journey, and then also like I don't know, it kind of set the tone for not only our music but like kind of how I want to keep living my life. Just want to keeping the people that I love and know me well close to me, but also going out and finding new things and new experiences.
How long did it take you guys to put the EP together from like, see, because you obviously have the full track list of it now, so it's like the first song you wrote on there to you're pressing upload on Spotify, or I guess on whatever distribution service you use. But, you know, how long was that whole process?
I would say like we started making music in the studio a year ago. It was last September, so it was literally a year ago. And every step of that has led us to where we are. So like even working on the songs, but like Aristotle and Time One Spent, like they were learning experiences, I guess. So I would say it's been like a year, but a lot of those songs were written like, 5 months ago, or like
yeah, we had a few of them written before we even got to the studio, like Fishbowl, Time Unspent, No Not At All. Those were all pretty much written, but then we wrote Aristotle. I can't even remember.
We went on like a writing spree,
Yeah.
which is a big part of like why we're like we need to have a band. Like we were just so inspired, and we were inspired by working in the studio to write more. And so it's kind of like you said, once you start and once you're in a good spot, you want to keep going. And I feel like for me, at least, after releasing this EP, I'm already like, what's next? Like, can we do a full length? Like, let's see how far we can go with this, because it's just so like inspiring to accomplish something and bring something to like fruition. Like I feel like it's so easy to just go halfway or just be like, that would be cool, and not really like challenge yourself to finish something. And I
would also say it's in the same, it's obviously it's easier to do nothing and you just sit and do nothing. Like,
yeah,
that's easy. But I would also say if you're in that the creative space where you're just continuously writing things and putting things out, it's also very easy to just put so much out, and it's like, and let's just face it where it's at. You guys are a year in. A lot of people are recognizing you, recognize you as like a brand, I guess, or as artists. And like I remember seeing you guys, I think like 7 or 8 months ago, just fucking everywhere on my Instagram. I was like, who the fuck are these people? All right, because of Dustin, and then that's okay. Okay, let's see where this goes. So it's very easy to like almost like, because you should strike when the iron's hot, but you can almost bend the metal.
Totally.
Now it's
gotta let it breathe.
Yeah, now it's unusable.
Yeah.
And what you were saying a little bit earlier about getting booked, where it's like, yeah, I only want to do shows that are meaningful to us, or do like once a month. You also want to create a sense of want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You don't, because it's, how do I put it? Like, if you're, and this is something that I learned from the guys over in the slums, because they were telling me last year, how I think fucking last year they did like 23, 25 shows.
Crazy.
Just over and over and over and over. And they were like, yeah, we noticed that as we were doing more shows, yeah, we had crowds, but like we noticed like our mainstay people, they're like, oh, we'll catch them next time because we know they're coming. Yeah, they're coming. They're gonna play again. Yeah, they're coming down the road, but you know they're gonna play. And I try to make it to like all their shows because they're my boys. But like, you know, someone's like, yeah, fuck, I can't tonight. Yeah, I can't do my thing right now, and I'll catch their show like in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, oh fuck, okay, they're playing now. I don't know when they're gonna play again, so I have to, like, the thing was like, I have to go see them, or I have to be like the big one. This is my fucking pet peeve, specifically with comedy in town. Is like, if you're doing a show, fucking start on time. And so then it's like, you create the sense of urgency, right? Just go back to that, where it's like, yeah, these two are playing. I don't know when they're gonna play again, so I'm gonna see them here. Like, I want to be there. I want to be on time, and so I can enjoy this experience. I don't know, not that I don't know what's going to happen. It might not happen in another month or two. Mm-hmm. So creating the urgency. When you guys are in the studio, who are you typically working with? Like, what's that collaborative effort look like typically?
Yeah, Edgar Wonder's our producer.
Okay.
And we just kind of bring him the songs, and we just start working on it. Like, he's written all the bass lines, and he plays drums on most of them. Faye played drums on 11 Steps, and I played drums on all I can think about, which is the cool part, is like, it's very involved. Like, we're not just like sitting there letting him like make our songs, which like there's no shade to that either. Like, you know, that's what a producer
very talented,
can do for you.
But
you know,
okay. Again, this is somebody that has no skin in the game with music. I could not write music to save my life. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but like back when I was in high school, I thought I could be a musician and I wanted to write songs. So I had like lyrics in a notebook that I burned because I looked at it and I was like, this is trash. No. Goodbye. No, that shouldn't be seen or read by anyone because it was horrible. But there is something to it, because I mean, I get it, like massive multi-billion-dollar artists, a lot of them have ghostwriters, and a lot of them, and that's fine because they're still incredible. At the end of the day, they have to get on stage and do their thing.
Right.
They still have to.
Yeah.
Right. But in the creative process of it, it is, and I think it resonates more with the fan base, unless you start getting to like the ultra famous artists like fucking Drake and Taylor Swift and all of that, where it's like their fans will follow them to the end of Kingdom Come, no matter what they do. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for a lot of artists and their fan base, their fans tend to like and respect them more and kind of stay behind them more if they know that, like, oh no, this is like, they created this. Like, should they obviously have producers in their studio help them and all that nonsense, but like, they're the ones that wrote the music. Yeah. They wrote all the alchemy that created this song. We can trust that like 95% of this was done by the actual band.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for that, rather than just being like, okay, well, we have a skeleton. All right, producer, put the meat on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's definitely involved, and like we'll play on them and we have a ton of input, but he really like polishes them and elevates them and makes them sound so good, because like I could never do that. If you heard my garage band songs, like, you'd be like,
well, I mean, not for nothing, but having people being able to outsource stuff like that. I mean, there's a reason why teamwork is so important.
Exactly. People have different strengths.
I mean, because when I started doing this, I had no fucking clue about like tech, equipment. I still don't know how to use Photoshop, and quite frankly, I refuse to learn. I just think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit that you have to pay for a service that if you really want to learn how to use it properly, there are college courses on how to use Adobe. Mm-hmm. That is fucking crazy to me. Now, it speaks to how well made the programs are and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't have the time. Yeah. And my thumbnails are very simple, and Jay, I love my thumbnails. But like but you know, when I first started doing this, I went to my buddy Jay and I was like, dude, I don't know how to do this. Can you just make me a logo? And then a couple days later, he's like, yeah, I'll just help you produce it. Like, here's the equipment you get. I'll make all your logos. I'll make your templates for the thumbnails, so you can just copy and paste like a screenshot, and then just type things. As long as you can type and make things look pretty, you can use these these templates. I was like, thanks, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
So being able to outsource all of that, so you guys can focus on what you're good at, right? Because if you look at it like almost like a pie chart, I guess, and it's 100% what you're good at, you want to focus as much as that to what you're good at, rather than it's like, okay, 15% has to go to like social media, 20% has to go to production ability, if it goes to this, goes to that. So like, no, if the more of that you can comfortably outsource, the better.
I agree.
And building a good cohesive team around you, like that's important.
Yeah.
Again, because it's my personal favorite from what you guys have put out. What was the process of making Aristotle? That's a good fucking song.
That one was fun. Yeah. Well, we started writing it kind of in a more like dark and gloomy kind of.
It was
vibe.
like an A minor instead of D.
Like, yeah.
That was the biggest difference.
And then we decided, we're like, what if this was like kind of a sarcastic song? Like, I love irony in lyrics where this song is like the most happy sounding song and the lyrics are the most depressing, or vice versa. So
the first song that comes to mind is Bullet by Hollywood Undead. Have you heard that song?
No.
So it's an acoustic song, and it's got like chimes and bells behind it, and it's a song, and it's acoustic, and the guy is singing about suicide.
Oh man.
And he's literally talking about how he's like sitting on the top of a building about to jump.
Yeah.
He's in a suit so he can dress nice when he meets God. Very dark lyrics, but it's like
yeah. So yeah, we love irony music, and we love like sarcastic songs, and also the content of it, like the lyrics, is like you kind of have to be sarcastic about some of those like heavier topics that we were touching on, because I'm like you were saying, like, people gotta laugh at the end of the day, so might as well make light of some of the things that we go through. So yeah, that's kind of where the like songwriting was. And then
we wanted something also more like interactive with the crowd. So like we need some like something to sing along with, like the Baba Bas at the end. That's always, and the I'm trying. That's become like kind of a hit, and we like to play it at the end of our shows because it like leaves it on a high energy and some crowd interaction, which I think was a goal.
How much of that do you guys think about with specifically crowd interaction, I guess? Because I mean, I see that with Savings. They have a song like that where they get the crowd interacting with them. The Slums have they have a few songs like that, and it's very conscious where it's like, we need, as much as we love how our music sounds, we do need to keep the crowd engaged, outside of just like cheering and applauding and dancing and stuff like that. Actually having them, and again, you guys will experience, if you're not already experiencing it now, where people will show up to your shows and sing along with you guys. But outside of that, like, and as that grows, just to have something innate inside of it where they can chant back to you. Is that a conscious thing when you're writing your songs, or?
Yes and no. I think we wanted this song to be not pretty, because most of our music is kind of like, it's pretty sounding. We wanted it to be a little bit more like and so like that's why the end is like blah, blah, and then blah blah blah. Like, it doesn't necessarily sound good, and not everyone can sing. So like it makes sense for our crowd. Like, not everyone in our crowd is musicians. A lot of them are, but not everyone can like, sing along with everything or have the confidence to. But if it's like we're singing kind of terribly, they're like, yes, I can sing this.
And I'll even say, like, we wrote that song when we were going to open mics every single week, and like we wanted to that open mics have really taught us how to engage better with crowds, and like we need something fun, like,
and funny.
Our songs are like sad and like emotive and like that kind of thing, which is totally cool, but we were like, let's do something that's like fun, because we were actually engaging with a quote unquote crowd. Like open mics, there's people there, and it's a really it's a good learning curve to like play your new stuff for like an audience. Like, it's one thing to write in your bedroom and be like, okay, let's produce this, let's make it a song. it's another thing to see how the crowd reacts to it, and people just like loved when we played that song on the open mic, and it was so
Bellowing
much fun.
Bear was his favorite.
Yeah, Matt,
he loved it.
loves
Matt
that song.
loved it. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that too as well.
Are there? I mean, I'm sure there has been. But what instances have there been where like you're working at a song, you're hacking at it, you're trying, like there's something in here that's going to work, but you can't just get it right? And does that make, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, why? Like this should work more than it is. Why is this not working? How do you guys collaborate together? At the end of the day, it's you two, right? So how are you guys interacting with each other? How are you working through those type of problems?
Fist fighting usually. We usually get the gloves out, enter the ring, hair, and yeah.
Like, because I guess a better way to frame that question too is like, for me, like there have been lines that I think are funny, but I don't know where to put them. It's like, I think this punchline could be good. Or I think this could work as a tag to something.
Oh yeah.
And I just put it on like my notes app, and I kind of just leave it. And then like maybe 6 months down the road, it's like, oh, right, yeah. Obviously that works with a cum joke. Okay, great. And I write it down, and I'm like, all right, sounds good. Now this is a more elevated, dirty humor. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a joke that I don't do it as much anymore because I'm trying to move away from my military stuff. But I have a joke about Bill Clinton that I just couldn't get right for like a while. And then I had, that's right, I wrote this down like 6 months ago, and I put that on there. It's like, okay, great. I'm sure it's not a far-fetched guess that your guys' notes page is filled and filled and filled with just things that you hope works one day.
Yeah, there's a reason my iCloud storage is always full.
Oh, Jesus.
No, seriously, ask anyone, any of my friends, they always know that I like never have storage on my phone. That's kind of like the Faye signature style. Like I always have like little orphan lines in.
Waiting to get adopted. That's
yeah, just waiting to like get home.
Their pets in a Sarah McLachlan commercial at 2 a.m.
Yeah. In the arms. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I have like these little like stray lines in my notes app that I usually will just bring to Lily, and then we come up with a concept. And Lily writes most of the music to go with it, like the melodies and stuff. And so, definitely start that way. Like, I'll be going about my day, and I'm like, oh, wait, that's really good. And then sometimes I'll go back through, like you said, and, like, virtually burn my book of lyrics because I'm like, okay, where was I when what was going on in my head when I wrote that down? That was, like, the worst lyric I've ever come up with. But it's trial and error for sure.
And it's cool because, like, it's hard to get writer's block when you have more than one writer because you can kind of, like, pull that out of each other. And I'll be like, I don't know where to go with this. Faye has a line on her phone or whatever. Or she didn't know where to go, vice versa. And also, being sisters, we can be honest with each other and be like, oh, no, that's bad. Like,
oh, yeah. She's like, that's stupid.
Which,
good.
It's good. Yeah, it's really honestly... I've written songs with other people, and it's always been a good experience, but it's, like, tricky because you have to have this whole other layer of just, like, being careful, being, making sure you're not stepping on toes. But with sisters, it's kind of like, no, that's bad, but this part's good. Let's, like, make it better. And it's nice to have that honesty.
Yeah. Well, not even just stepping on toes. Like, if you're going to collaborate with somebody with something like this, where it's literally just your inner thoughts that you think are cool enough that other people should hear them. Because at the end of this, what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like my inner thoughts, I think these are cool and not potentially fucking insane. I'm going to write these down and show them to somebody and be like, hey, what do you think? There needs to be a level of trust there that they're not going to just immediately they can't talk shit, but it's like in a mean way. Again, like, it's like, where's it coming from in the heart, right? Whereas they're not going to immediately shut it down or try to figure out where you were coming from if it does turn out to be more negative than positive. And then it's just because of the culture we're in today. It's like, if you're going to collaborate with somebody like that, you need to trust that they're not going to get like, take it the wrong way, get hyper offended when you don't mean to be, where it's like, no, like, here's what I was trying to do. They kind of just like block you out. It's like, no, this is how you think now. It's like, oh, well. So it's important to be able to trust people like that.
Yeah.
And again, just have that team around you where it's like, no, I know that, like, even just today, a couple of my buddies, AJ and Jake, a couple of comedians in town, just today I had a really fucked up thought that I thought was funny. So I wrote it down in my notes app, screenshot, and like, hey, this is filthy, but what do you think? And they're like, yeah, tweak this and this, but that has to be funny. It's like, all right, sounds good. But then, and this kind of blends into the open mic stuff we were talking about earlier, where you need to be comfortable you're on your own saying stuff like that in public, whereas like this could completely bomb. It's a bit different for you guys with music, but even going to a music open mic, I would imagine, right? It's like I think this could be good. Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't bomb, and if it does bomb, hopefully it doesn't just piss everybody off.
Right.
You know what I mean? And be able to cultivate a community around you. This part is I recognize outside of your guys' hands, but you help with it. Cultivate a community around you where it's like you have that environment where it's like, yeah, you can go up there and basically fail, or what do they say in Toy Story, fall with style, right? Where you can go up there and do that comfortably, and no one's gonna like, oh, these pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Look what they
Right.
just said. So I think that's trust is a very big part of this. So outside of music, what do you guys do? Because again, you're so busy. Like you said, you're students, you work full time. Obviously, you have to say where you go to school or where you work. But are you guys both in school?
Yeah.
Holy fuck!
We're both at UNM.
Both at UNM. Okay, cool.
Say that.
Okay, yeah, cool.
It's a big enough school, I think.
Yeah. What are you guys going to school for?
I'm studying journalism, multimedia journalism, and my minor's art.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yourself?
I'm doing liberal arts.
Woo!
Just general liberal arts.
Just taking whatever I want, just milking the system.
I was gonna say, if you want to burn money,
Giving
I've got
them
a
my
lighter
money.
around here somewhere.
No, it's I honestly
She loves it. She loves it.
Yeah, I have to say, anyone who, I think it's burning money to be told what classes you have to take and like what you're supposed to learn. Unless it's something like being a doctor or whatever. I think being
Gotta need those classes.
if you
Don't skip courses if you're a doctor.
Yeah, I just want to be like a lifelong learner, and I want to just take every opportunity I can get and learn about what matters to me. So like this semester I'm taking classes that have to do with my current job, which I'm planning to keep for like the next 5 years, and then classes that have to do with like arts, entrepreneurship, and social media marketing that have to do with like sisterbaby. And like I get to do that because I don't have these like guidelines of like these are the classes you need to take. So I'm actually like learning about things.
Social media marketing?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm taking a
awesome.
business of being an artist, and I'm taking social media for journalists.
I have to ask, what do they teach you?
Oh, it's
And are they ran by people with high level social media accounts?
It's usually for me.
Probably not.
For me, in the journalism department, it's usually written by journalists that utilize social media.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But it's like I'm very curious. I've heard about some colleges doing that, but see, like what do you like get taught in a social media marketing class? Do they teach you about algorithms and?
Yeah. Right now, my like semester long project is a marketing plan for a brand. So you come up with a brand, and they teach you about like this algorithm statistics, how you can build your following and get views, and teach you like basic like how to use apps. And there's actually what's the word, like a social media simulation that we're using, which like will actually generate like activity based on like Instagram and TikTok algorithms. So it's pretty cool, and especially because it's like such a huge part of our society now. It's actually like there are textbooks, I hate textbooks, but there are textbooks about it, and like different.
That seems so counterintuitive. A textbook about social media.
Yeah, I get that.
It's kind of crazy, but it's like it truly is like the kind of the direction we're going towards.
Yeah.
Like my professor who's I'm taking a, what is it called? Oh gosh, this is terrible. It's a like multimedia journalism class. And he talks a lot about that, how like for journalism, anyone can be a journalist if they have a social media platform. Doesn't mean that they're going to be the best journalist.
I was going to say, unfortunately, that is the truth.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're going to be ethical, which is another important thing. Like I took a media ethics and law class to do with like journalism. And a lot of people don't have like the ethical standards that journalists are held up to.
I know you guys didn't want to talk about politics, and we won't, but just to lightly touch on it, like that is unfortunately the world we're living in, where it's like if no matter whether you find yourself more left, more right, in the middle, whatever, if you really have to do more, like you have to do more honest investigation on your own research.
Absolutely.
It's such a demonized term now to do your own research. But you really have to do your own research, where it's like, okay, well, frankly, anybody who gets their information from like CNN or Fox or MSNBC are fucking morons anyway. But if you're going to get your information from any source, the onus is on you to like question that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, where are their sources getting it from? You go to that. It's like, okay,
Right.
where you okay, and you kind of it might take you on a couple weird rabbit holes, but you need like the idea of that is one thing that I mean, colleges get shit on a lot these days, but I really hope that I haven't been to college in a very long time. I dropped out fucking 3 times. But you know, one of the things that I enjoyed most about going to college was that and a lot of the responsibility were on the professors, where it was like the best professors were the ones that not necessarily just taught you the course or the subject matter. It was they really they put the impression on you about how important critical thinking is
Right.
without strictly telling you you need to think critically.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just sit somebody down like, hey, think about this, and they're like, how do I think more? But it's like, no, okay, well, what do you think about this? What about this? What about this option? And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I think I don't know is the best answer to a question. No, frankly, because if you're saying yes
I
or
don't know, but I'll figure it out.
exactly,
Yeah.
'cause if you just say yes or no, and it's like, are you definitive in that?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. And the whole basis of journalism is not our job as journalists is not to give people the information and have them just like blindly believe it. We want to give people the information for them to be free and self-governing is like the whole point. So I think as journalists, obviously you have to be like, you have to have a lot of integrity and like ethical standards, but you also have to like understand that people need to go and find that out for themselves. So
Well, it's so funny because like you said, you're 19, right?
yeah.
So that puts you guys in the category of I forget like what generation it is.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. So it's funny. There's a lot of, especially like it was happening during COVID, where a lot of articles were coming out where it was like, yeah, there's a lot of distrust in the media and this, that, and the other. And now, you know, we're 4 years removed from that. There's a lot of people talking about now where it's like, okay, like I think I'm a millennial, or I'm like it's like it was Gen Z.
A zillennial.
Yeah, I'm on the line of like
Yeah.
millennial and Gen Z, but like our generation now, like once we really start growing up more, provided we make it that far, we grow up more now because at least this is the experience a lot of my friends had. You know, we've come to a point where it's like we've been lied to so much by politicians, by the government. And in the most basic sense, there was this social contract, right? There was this idea that the world we would inherit was better than the ones our parents had. Clearly, that is not fucking working out. Clearly. So now when we start replacing everybody else, that's supposed to be the big change. Where it's like, okay, big multimedia or multinational media like Fox, CNN, MSNBC, they go away. They're done. They're put to pasture, and all the independents come up, like independent journalists come just for the sake of the conversation. Mm-hmm. They come like, oh no, this is where I found all my information, but you should really just go figure it out yourself too. Here's just my findings on it, mm-hmm. And I think it's a good thing, and I think that maintaining that mindset is important. Outside of school and outside of work, what do you guys do to like fucking decompress from like all the shit you're doing? Because again, I don't advocate for burnout, but like personal time is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, do you guys do anything to like remove yourself from music? Or is it, at some point, I'd imagine music becomes a part of a job or a bit of a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would say for me personally, like there's a difference between me playing and writing and then me being like in sisterbaby. Like for me, playing music in my room and writing songs in my room is like that's like me decompressing, me like processing, and me taking a break. Honestly, that's the part that I love. And honestly, I love the studio. That's like where I thrive. I love recording and creating. Like it doesn't feel like work to me. Rehearsing and performing and social media, like all that stuff is like such a chore.
It's a fucking cancer.
Yes.
And I'm sick. Like I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm addicted to my phone, and I'll like upload a reel or I'll whatever. And I'm like a fucking
checking
like a monkey, just redoing it. Just like it's my chimp brain just wants to see the more engagement.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, why isn't this getting as much views as I thought it was going to? Why is this not getting as?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's definitely the hard part, but I think I keep doing it because I love making music so much. But
yeah, I always talk about how I don't play a songwriting instrument, so it's a little harder for me to decompress with music because you can't just like, I mean you can, but like sit down and play a bass and write a song. Like, you can't strum the bass
What am I
for an hour.
So because there are very talented bass players that can just fucking shred.
Oh, yeah.
Like that exists. It's very challenging,
bassist
like
can,
everything else,
yeah.
but it's very challenging. A buddy of mine in high school, because me and my friends, we always talked about like starting a band or like playing music together, and it wasn't much far removed from just playing Guitar Hero. But a buddy of mine, Dom, he loved playing bass, and he was I remember the girl's name, but I don't know if they were actually dating or if they just got like involved together or whatever. I was hanging out at his house one night, and he goes, "Hey man, I fucked up," and I'm like, "What happened?" And he goes, "Well, I told her that I played music." And I was like, "You're a fucking moron." "No, you don't." And he goes, "What did you tell her?" He goes, "Yeah, I told her I played bass, and then she asked me to play a song for her." And I was like, "Dude, what did you expect the poor girl to say?" Because he goes, "Yeah," because he was like, "Yeah, I played guitar." And then she asked what type of guitar, and he said bass. And then I was like, "Yeah, she was trying to be nice, you fucking nitwit."
That's hilarious.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Here, wait for this. Just imagine the rest of the song is here.
Imagine I've got a drummer, a great guitar.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
So there's a little bit about. I want to continue what you were saying, but about being in the studio. I guess the obvious question would be, why not pursue school in that vein? Because there is so much to learn, and I'd imagine just by listening to countless. Because I'm fascinated by fucking Rick Rubin. But watching the numerous amounts of interviews and now recently podcasts that he's done, a lot of that is just through experience and working with creative and talented musicians, physically doing things. But I would imagine that there has to be some type of like course path or something that would help, elevate that side of you. If you haven't, it's one thing to recognize how important an element of your project is, where it's like, I should get better at that. Like that's social media for me, right? I should get better at that. I should learn a bit more. I just don't have the time to. And when I do have the time to, I fuck off and read comic books or play video games. It's a bad thing, but that's how I decompress, right?
Yeah.
Or I go to the gym. But for you, it sounds like you thoroughly enjoy being in the studio and you thoroughly enjoy being in that environment. So has that ever been a thought process? Like I should really take my school work that way?
Yeah, I actually, before we did Sister Baby, I was thinking about like being a studio musician. Like I thought that would be super fun. And I took a theory.
What's the definition of a studio musician?
Just someone that plays like an instrument in the studio for an artist. And it gets recorded, so they're usually just like playing other people's songs, and they're just kind of behind
live usually.
Yeah, they're behind the scenes, and they'll usually work for a studio.
Oh, they're like the fourth guy in Green Day. I forget his name.
Yeah, sure.
No,
Yeah.
no, I forget his fucking name. He's super talented.
Yeah,
He's a guitarist.
He's the one that plays everything.
And he tours with them more now. I think over the last when did I see him last? Like 2017. So like the last 8-10 years or so, he's been touring with them more. But I think his name is Jason. But
Okay.
he's been in the studio with them a lot, doing like the backing guitar stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of thing. And I took a theory class, a piano class at UNM, because I can take whatever I want. And I'm actually planning on taking a production class at UNM next semester, just to like learn more. But I have also found that some of the wonder in music like fades away if you get too caught up in that kind of stuff.
In what way?
I would say for me, like learning more about theory, like I'll be listening to a song and I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful chord, and like that's such a cool experience, and like that made me feel something. Whereas now I'm like, oh, it's just a major 7 chord, that's why, like, and it almost takes you out of it a little bit. And I think there's something like beautiful about just messing around and like seeing what works and like using your ear, trusting your ear in the studio. But definitely, yeah, I'm like in pursuit of getting more of that vocabulary for the studio, learning how to engineer a little bit more so that I can just be more of an asset and have some more like I don't know what the word is, but just take some more initiative, I guess.
Well, no, that's a good mindset to have. I think everyone should make themselves useful in their own lives, whatever, make themselves useful in other lives, but make yourself useful. It's a very good way to go about life. And in that same vein, talking about a mindset, because I've kind of found myself starting to go through the same thing with stand-up. I started writing my own material and writing like, oh, this is a basic setup of a joke. Because I've enjoyed stand-up much like you guys with music since I was a little kid. But now that I'm actually doing it, it's like, oh yeah, it's like there's the setup, there's the setup, there's the punch, there's the tag, there's the callback, there's okay, I see what he's doing. It's a formula. It's a formula. And yeah, it's like, oh, it's like kind of makes it a little not dull, but it makes it like formulaic, like a math problem.
And you can't get out of that sometimes.
But on the other hand, you could look at that, and this is what I'm trying to force myself to do now, so you can look at that and be like, yes, now that I see the formula, like you ever watched The Hangover? Have you seen that movie? Fuck.
Sorry.
You need to watch The Hangover.
We haven't seen any bro flicks.
So there's a part in the movie because they find out that Alan, one of the goofy guy, he's really good at counting cards for poker. Okay. So there's a part where he's at the poker table. I think they're playing blackjack. Yeah, they're playing blackjack, and he's seeing all the cards, all these like equations and stuff are popping around his head, and they make a ton of money and they leave. But I just bring that up as an example. Like now that you can see like the formula almost, or you can see like the blueprint for how this is going for other musicians at higher levels, you can take that for yourself. Like, okay, here's what they're doing. Maybe I can do it better this way, or I can do it that way, and that's how the next generation does better than the last.
Sure.
In theory,
yeah,
right? In theory.
That.
So is using that, not just changing your mindset, but using that as a like you said, like an asset, right? As a tool, rather because that's the scary. I think that's a scary part a lot of people look at with passions and with creative projects. Like, well, I love this thing so much, but if I get too close to it, I kind of ruin it for myself. It's like, well, then don't ruin it for yourself.
Yeah,
just don't.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's that easy. Like, just don't ruin it for yourself. Yeah. Keep making it fun.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird romanticism where it's like, and you hear it with like musicians, and obviously a lot of drugs and alcohol are involved, but like with like musicians and comedians, but performers in general, where they're like, man, I fucking hate this, but this is my job now, so this is the thing that I do, and I just happen to be good at it. I was like, that's not romantic, you dick. That's pompous, and that's just sad. So don't get to that point. But I think the sooner you're able to like truly understand, and I think that's one of the bright parts and the more optimistic parts of being at the very beginning of something is like you don't know everything. So if you're able to see something early like that, just capitalize on it and just like go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Like that, and I'd imagine being like, I mean, I just kind of like the studio environment you're talking about. You know, I don't do it as much as we should, but like getting me and a couple of my comedian friends in here, we get blazed and just write material and it turns into a shit talking session because then we're just trying to crack each other up like what's funny, what's this, what's that. But I imagine like that environment for music is if you can fall in love with that, or if you innately love that, man, I think you're set.
Yeah.
Because I'd imagine like as musicians, if you're not touring and if you're not, you know, on the road and selling out theaters and arenas or whatever it is, the other side of that is you just want to be creating constantly and making new things and tweaking things. So the more you fall in love with that process, I mean, the better.
Totally.
Yeah, that's something I definitely need to be working on more, because a lot of it is an attitude. Because I forget that, like, oh, I get to, I don't know, I get to make music. I get to be in a studio. I get to be a part of this process. And then it's like I always love the finished product. I always love getting to perform the songs and all that. So it's like, it's important for me to like recenter myself, because sometimes I'm guilty of having a bad attitude. I'm guilty of being tired and being like, I don't want to work at the studio today, or I don't want to rehearse today. But
she really brings it at the shows, though. She performs really well. So
that's like we balance each other, because she hates performing and I hate.
I'm glad you said that, because that's a normal thing.
Yeah,
that's a normal fucking thing. Like, because I feel like just people, again, no matter what entertainment thing they're doing, they always like to say publicly, I'm always working hard and I'm always doing this. I'm like, no, you're not, you fucking dick. Because if you're saying it, you're probably not doing it. Like, just this past weekend, I just sat down in front of my computer to write, and I was like, I know that I have to do this if I want to get better, but I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
Especially on my own. Like, I hate just sitting down. And then I don't know, this is just me, but I feel like such a dweeb. I'm just sitting down writing dick jokes, or writing like sex jokes, or writing jokes about whatever. It's like, I think I'm funny. And then maybe it works out, but it's the process of figuring out. But then it's the like, it's breaking through that threshold of like sitting down to actually do it. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
Or it's like, but once you get yourself to the plate and you start like working through, it's like, oh, I'm in a groove now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here. We're doing it. We're okay.
For sure. We hit those moments every once in a while where we're like, oh, okay, like it's fine. Yeah, I just have to like check myself every once in a while. Like if I realize that like this is something that's fun and this is something that I get to do, not something that I have to do, it's like, I don't know, I can like re-energize myself. And we always say that with open mics because like you're saying, open mics like are a lot more difficult for hosts than you would think.
Because you have to be there for the whole thing.
You have to be there the whole thing. You have to organize.
You have to be there for the whole thing.
You have to set up. Like, yeah, we don't have, like, even for shows, like, we don't have any roadies or anything. So we're carrying our own equipment and everything.
That's a rite of passage right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, eventually.
Tumbling.
And, yeah, like, I have back pain at 19, but, but yeah, like, I have to, once we, like, get past the, like, the kind of dread of like, oh, we have to go do that, like it's fun, it pays off pretty much immediately. And with music, like once I'll be having like an annoying day in the studio where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I don't want to be here, and then we finish the song and I'm like crying because I'm like, this is a great song.
Yeah,
good thing we were here.
Yeah,
so it's like we get some good payout for sure, like in the creative sense, like not necessarily
in the
monetary. In
the vein of overcoming stuff like that, you said that you enjoy being in the studio and all of that, and now it sounds like you're more of an introvert than extrovert.
Yeah, I would say I like to I'm a wallflower, but I do love people. So it's an
introverted extrovert.
You've seen that movie, right? Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yes.
God. Okay,
Yeah.
what a beautiful fucking movie.
So good.
Great movie. Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
what were
Yeah,
you saying?
no, watch that movie in high school, bawl my eyes
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Of course.
Anyway, whatever happened to Logan Learman? What a
I know,
talent.
where'd
He's
he
a
go?
Salt and Pepper King now. Have you seen his hair? He's Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper King. He's got to be like 30.
I know, but
he's not old.
His hair's amazing. It's like really cool. I'm like, oh my gosh.
See, I hope I get to that
He owns
point.
it.
I hope I get to that point because like when I'm getting ready in the morning and I see all my white hair, I'm like, fuck. I'm 27.
No, you just
it's
gotta
cool.
say Salt and Pepper King.
Right.
Yeah.
This is courtesy
Embrace
of the
it.
You just
U.S.
gotta
Army.
brand it.
But with you, again, having a bit of a more introverted personality, how do you find yourself? I imagine it's a continuous thing, getting not over that, but just kind of like moving that to the side, shelving it to go perform on stage. How do you find yourself doing that? Like, I've learned recently that a lot of performers that do have like a pre-show ritual,
Yeah.
you don't have to give all that away. It's a very personal and sacred thing to you, if it is, because I certainly have one.
Yeah.
It's a very degrading
if I
one to
wanna know.
myself too. It's very no. I just sit in my car. I have a couple of songs. And I have a speech that I run through for myself. I just get myself in the mindset, and then I just go up
that's
there
great.
and try to do my thing. But how do you find yourself doing that with your personality? Where it's like, okay, naturally I'm inclined to be this way. However, I love doing this other thing that's going to force me a whole other direction. Like mentally, what are you doing for yourself?
Yeah, I will always say affirmations are like the most powerful thing, and I just tell myself exactly the opposite of what I'm feeling. Like I will literally be in front of a microphone, like in my head, saying, "I can sing. I'm a good singer. I'm a good musician. I'm a legitimate musician. I'm good at guitar." Like things that I don't always believe about myself. And just say it over and over again, and it gets me there, and I will say after the first one or two songs I definitely get into it, and I'm into the music, especially when we're playing with the band. I just like there's a flow, we kind of we get into this like pocket where we're like, okay, we're doing something here, and like the crowd, the energy, it makes it work, but initially it's always hard, and I have to just kind of like fake it till I make it and just like lie to myself in a good way.
I don't know if I'm going to ask this question correctly, but when you're on stage, and I think this is interesting to talk about, again, having a introverted personality, because I'm the same way. Do you recognize the audience is there when you're playing?
I don't look at anyone. I close my eyes 99% of the time,
Really?
or I look up, or I look at my band. I like to like look at my drummer and like jam out, like this is about the music, but I don't ever look at the audience. No.
Do you feel like there's again, this is my personal experience. Do you feel like there's like a invisible barrier or like a wall between you and the audience Like, have you ever experienced? Is that a thing for you guys? Right, how does that manifest for you guys?
Yeah.
That's how it is for me. It's like I have, and that's what's fucked. It's like that's where I'm jealous of you guys. Well, as musicians, as like between you, and I tell the slums this all the time. That's where I'm jealous of you guys. Where it's like you guys can interact with the crowd if you like, but you're literally making beautiful sounds.
Yeah.
Like you guys, you can just do your thing, and as long as you sound good, they'll be happy to see you.
Right.
Sure.
But as a fucking comic, I have to like look at people and like interact when things happen, call out elephants in the room. If there's somebody passed out drunk in the back, I have to talk shit about that. If there's if somebody's wearing a stupid outfit, there's 30 seconds right there, like that type of thing. But that's something I have to get over myself, because once I get up there, like you were just saying, once I get a couple songs in, I'm in the groove, I'm doing my thing. Once I get into like 45 minute and a half into my set, there's this weird, like, and I'm glad that I have it because I'm comfortable on stage, but there's this like muscle memory that carries me through my set, and I have to like consciously break myself out of that so I can acknowledge the people that are in front of me.
Yeah.
Is that a thing for you guys?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel the same thing, because even though I'm the more extroverted one, I don't look at the people either. I like rarely do. I sometimes like glaze over them, but I hate like looking, because then I overthink. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, am I looking at this person when I'm singing this lyric? Are they gonna think that I'm like singing this part about them? And like I'm like, oh no, like no, like so I don't really directly
like you're accidentally breaking hearts on stage.
Yeah, I'm like. But no, like I don't know. I don't really look at them either, and because then I think too much about it, and that's a big thing about me is like I have to get out of my head. Like people always ask me if I'm nervous before a performance, and I'm like no, and I'm like they're like, oh, why not?
Not
at
all.
I'm not thinking. No, I do get nervous, but I just like pretend that I don't.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just like reverse psychology, because I'm like, well, I don't want to think about it. If I think about it, then maybe I will be. Like if I think about every single individual person that I know that's here, and usually like a lot of our friends that are musicians will come to our shows, and I'm like, okay, they're extremely talented. They're watching me, and they have like amazing music, and they're like watching us right now, and they know every single time something goes wrong, because that's something really musicians only like notice. And then there's like, oh, this person who is like, you know, part of this part of my life, and this person, like, I don't know, I can't think too much about the people that are there, while I like also appreciate the people that are there. Like,
but they can't be on your mind. No.
They can't be on my mind.
No.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry,
they can't
guys.
be. No,
I wish.
Because those. Well, first of all, an audience member is the definition of a variable. It's something that you cannot control.
Yeah.
You can't control whether they. I mean, aside from you putting out a good putting on a good show, you can't control what happened to them that day. You can't control how much they're drinking that night. You can't control what other substance they might be on. You know, they're an audience member at a concert.
Yeah.
You can't control that. You know what I mean? So yeah, being concerned with them in the lightest way possible, being concerned with them will do nothing but hinder you.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah. I like sometimes feel guilty for it, because I'm like I feel like I want to look at the people that like I really care about, that I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're here, like acknowledge them, but like I glaze over. Like I feel bad. I glaze over my boyfriend every single time. I'm like,
I'll say though, like even when you're not looking at people, there is an energy, like you can connect with the audience in different ways, and you can work off of the energy that you're feeling.
Oh, for sure.
Even with like your set list, like if you're playing at a certain venue where it's a certain time of day, there's a certain circumstance, like you can work kind of your order and the energy like fluctuations kind of thing. There's a lot of intention that goes into that, and we are definitely considerate of the audience and connecting with them, but definitely not looking at them.
Well, the key word there is audience. It's not people. They're an audience. They're a body.
Yeah.
It's a group. Because again, there are going to be shows where the crowd is not on your side.
Yeah.
And or maybe not that they're on their side, or not they are not on your side. They're apathetic to it.
Yeah.
They're not there for us.
They're not there for you guys, and that just is what it is. But you're still there to put on a good show. And if your brain is in any way trained to worry about how they're feeling about what you're doing, that's only going to detract. Because if you're in not a great environment, like for instance, it was so funny today at work. When I work in my office, I've got 2 screens, so I've got like all my work stuff here and then YouTube. And for whatever reason, one of my YouTube recommended videos was from 1999. It was one of the first. I might have been one of the first, if not the first, recorded sets It's an hour and 15 minutes long from Evanescence.
Wow.
And she's 17 years old.
Sheesh.
And she's up there. It's surprising how... And she sounds then how she sounds now. It's crazy. But they're in some little dive bar, right? There's maybe like 50, 75 people there. And you can hear people in the back like yelling, and you hear fights breaking out, and you can hear glasses breaking. And she does like vocal exercises in the beginning of the video on stage. Like she's so loose, the band's ready to go. And then I skipped about halfway through, and they're belting it out like they're playing a fucking arena.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So to get yourself into that mindset, like no matter what's happening in the audience, as long as you're putting on a good show, the crowd's going to be into it. They will ignore the nonsense, or just kind of like the middle of the road. You know, they'll kind of like, oh yeah, we were here to have like dinner or like to have a couple drinks together, but hey, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And turn around and watch you guys do your thing.
Yeah.
And that's all just within the training of your own brain, I guess.
Totally.
And being able to have that, I mean, I guess the broader term would be like emotional maturity, but like being able to like control your own thoughts and control, because your brain will actively work against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at times. So being able to hone that in, it's like, no, I'm a fucking musician. I'm here to do this thing. We're going to put on a great show. And being able to like channel that on a regular basis to whip that out like another tool in your toolbox, that's, I mean, that's fucking invaluable.
Yeah.
What is, and I know it's hard to answer this question, especially when you're so early in, maybe it can be hard. Is there a long-term plan? Is there like a long-term vision? Is there because, I mean, don't be afraid to say it if there is, because that's awesome if there is. So what's the long term?
I don't think we have a long-term plan. I think we're trying to like let it breathe a little bit, but I mean, I never want to stop making music. So, you know, I think you can't force anything. And sometimes if you over plan, you're like holding yourself to a standard where it doesn't become fun anymore, and there's not so much like flow and creativity happening. I would love to make an album, like I said, but yeah, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to make an album too. I'd love to like perform bigger shows with like maybe opening for like a bigger artist. And
Like who?
I don't know.
No, put that shit out there. Well, let me give you a great example. A good friend of mine who's a comedian in town, Tyler. He was telling a lot of us. He was because when Casadas opened up, he saw all the bookings, and he was like, "There's a comedian he really enjoys. His name is Chris Canat, I think." He's like, "I'm gonna fucking open for that guy."
Cool.
And actually, before he even got booked here, he was like, "I'm gonna open for that fucking guy. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna figure that out. I'm gonna open for him." 2 months later, he gets booked to come into town, and then 4 months later, dude's hosting his show.
Wow.
So it's like
Awesome.
like I'm not a manifest your future or like a vision board guy. I'm not into that, but there is something to putting it out there.
Yeah.
And there's something to like energy and like, you know, and I think a lot of it's intention too, but I think the best way to a good analogy for it is like, especially since you guys grew up in the church, it's you can pray for things all you want, but if you don't actively work towards those things, God's not just going to give it to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or at least if he does give it to you, it's in a way you're not expecting it to happen.
Right.
Right. So you can make vision boards and you can journal and you can pray to crystals all you want, whatever, you know what I mean? But like, if you don't actually put work towards it, if you don't advertise yourself, if you don't insert yourself into areas of opportunity, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So who would you want to fucking open for?
Okay, well, so me and Lily, would kind of be a cool like full circle moment, because one of the bands that we bonded over the most are the Backseat Lovers. That's my favorite band. Have you heard of them? It's that song "Kilby Girl." I overheard that she was 19. She's got a fake ID. And
What's it called?
"Kilby Girl" is what the song's called.
Well,
the
band?
The Backseat Lovers. I've seen them 3 times in the past few years, and they're just, I don't know, they're great. And they also just seem like a vibe.
I
So,
love
like,
learning about these new bands I've never
Yeah.
heard of, because it's like, no, I've never heard of them. They might be a small little 4.2 million listen. Like, oh, they're not a fucking, okay, yeah, I'll check them out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so they're great, and they also just seem like really cool, like genuine people. Like, I think we would want not to say that we're going to turn down opportunities to work with like a big artist that would be like, you know, cool and beneficial and get us a good audience, but I think we want to work with people that like we'll get along with, so that it's like, because touring, I don't know if we'll ever tour. It's a real rough life. It's a rough lifestyle. It's not like all glamorous as,
But it can be a fun one.
yeah, it can be fun. It can be fun. But
if you like traveling,
yeah,
and you like getting paid,
yeah,
you want to do this at the same time.
yeah,
Could be fun.
true. So yeah, I don't know. I think that would be cool to do that one like sometime in the future, or even just bigger venues in Albuquerque. I have like I have a little dream to play. This isn't even that big of a deal, but fiestas at
Oh yeah.
UNM, because the Mango Cakes played, Slums played, Low Mellow, Jimmy Climbs, yeah, they all played at fiestas. So that would be cool, just because it's like it's my school, and so I'm like,
That's a fun little show too.
yeah, it's like a fun
cool.
little festival.
They made me fucking throw away my Zins, but you know what? It's a fun little
Oh yeah,
show.
they're strict out there.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, because I rolled up. I was like, man, this is going to be a good time. I smoked a little bit. I got a fresh can of Zins. All right, great. He's maybe throw away the whole thing. And then I tried to, like, open it to put a couple, and he was like, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, what? These are nicotine.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you.
I know.
Wow, yeah.
But that'd be cool. It's a fun show.
Yeah. So I think that would just be cool, just because I'm like, oh, like I playing at my college is like music festival would be sick, cause like
How funny would that be if you played at music festival, then you're in psych class the next day, and someone's like,
Yeah.
hey, weren't you like?
hang on.
Well, it's cool though, because we always say like the people get so caught up on being like famous, like worldwide or like even like nationally, but like being locally famous is famous. being
Locally
connected
known.
locally is like
Being
so
respected.
underrated. It's such a beautiful thing, and like to really like put your heart into connecting with like Albuquerque and like just like the people that are here in this city. And there's something, so for me at least, like there's nothing like going to a local show. Like going to a concert is amazing, and for a bigger artist out of town or whatever, but going to a local show is just like more inspiring. It feels more like it hits close to home, and connecting to that kind of demographic of like college students our age, like, you know, seeing them on campus and being like, oh, like I saw you at fiestas, like that's something that's so like beautiful and exciting to us, that we are actively pursuing more so than like ever trying to be like huge, you know, because
it's also inspiring too, because I'm like, okay, yeah, these people like they know about us and they like recognize us, and yeah, it's not about the fame, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the views or the money or anything like that. Like it's just, oh, we're reaching people, and people like are taking note of our art and taking us seriously.
Well, especially when you see your friends playing venues that you want to play.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this shit's possible.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
oh, like it's all right there. Like all of this makes sense. I can go do that one day.
yeah,
And I think being, especially here in Albuquerque, well, I mean, New Mexico in general, but especially in Albuquerque, I mean, yeah, the right word for it isn't famous. It's locally respected, I think.
sure, yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's tough. Like I think it's a genuinely tough thing to build a good reputation in this city. You know what I mean? Because like I said a little bit earlier, like it's so big on authenticity, and it's so big like, are you actually here to do this, or are you like, what is it like? Because I'm sure there are gatekeepers in the music community. It's like there's gatekeepers right now in the comedy community. They exist. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, there are other people. They're not gatekeepers, but they're like, they care.
yeah,
Like they care about the community, they care about the art form, whether or not they want to go big time one day or not. They're like, okay, well, this is where I'm at, and I like it, and you know, they will open themselves up to you once they find out, like, oh, this kid's actually here to do it. You know, these girls are actually here to do it. That type of thing.
yeah,
And gaining that respect of those above you is a very beautiful thing, right? And yeah, it's cool to like be out in public and someone's like, hey, you're that.
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
It's
us.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but on the flip side of that, it's unfortunately, or maybe it is a good thing. I'm not too sure yet. But you know, it's very easy to ruin your reputation. It is very, because everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And if I didn't know, I mean, if we never met, I know people that you guys know, you know people that I know, and it's all connected.
For sure.
And whether it's not through entertainment, it's through families knowing each other, and well, that's not like the fucking mafia, but like, but just like,
We're all connected.
yeah, but it's like everyone's connected to other people
Yeah.
through these things, and it's a very tight knit city, and it's very easy to ruin your reputation. So I mean, as long as you're not a shitbag, I think you're gonna be okay.
Yeah. And I think also just like, it's just so important to I hate the whole guilty by association thing and just assuming things about someone or not wanting to support someone based on whatever, or not wanting to book someone based on whatever. And I just think it's so important as local artists to lift each other up and like we've talked about this, like not see each other as competition or you're on this side or this side, but like, wow, I'm so inspired by what you're doing. Like you're doing better than me, and then it's making me want to do better too. And not to spite you, but to like uplift our city, like make this city.
It's a feast, not a famine.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're having that mentality. Like, there is enough for everybody.
Totally.
And you're right. You know, unfortunately, there are people that will, you know, not book certain acts or not book certain people based on like who they're associated with or who even they think they're associated with without even talking to the person.
Yeah.
That happens. Can't really escape that. That's going to be no matter where you go, right?
Yeah.
But and there was some people, and everybody would get past it, and their shit bags anyway. It is what it is. No, having that amount of prejudice based on something you assume, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
That's weird. Like, that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
that's weird. Like, if you have like, there are people that talk shit about me, and I know who they are, but they've never came up to me. I only know this because of people that we mutually know. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't bother me, because if you're not willing to come air out your grievances with me and have a conversation, like, if there's anybody in the city who I would think you could have a conversation with, it's the guy that has conversations. You know what like I think I've put myself out that way.
Yeah.
So it's like,
for
okay, if
sure.
you're not willing to do that, that's fine. That you can stay where you're at. I'm gonna be where I'm at, and I don't wish anything bad for you, but live your life.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you know, with the people that are open to interpretation, I really do think the best way to overcome that issue and most other things in entertainment is just being fucking undeniable. Be good. Seriously, just be good at what you do. And if you're not good at what you do, have displayed you have the potential to be good at what you want to do. That's all it really is being teachable.
Yeah.
And and displaying that you're like, hey, yeah, I want to do well. I like it when these other people do well. Even if you're not my friends, but it's like acquaintances or like we know each other because we've seen each other at these open mics or at these shows. I want you to do well. Good job.
Yeah.
Like a good job and an attaboy, and I'm like, you know, all that kind of stuff. It goes a long way for people. So just making it very apparent that you're just like, yeah, I'm here to help you, man,
Absolutely.
and with nothing in return.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to help. You know what I mean? I think that's what's important. What shows do you guys? You have one coming up on the 12th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
October 12th at Marble.
Okay, I'll make sure this comes out before then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sick.
So October 12th. Is that like a specific thing for like? I know Marble has like Marble Fest, but that already happened.
It is a festival. I don't know what
Okay.
it's called. Did we does Eddie
Is
have
this
the name?
Marble like downtown Marble?
Yeah.
Nice. That's a fun
Marble
stage.
downtown.
I know, we're super excited to play that.
That's sick.
so
Hey,
cool.
good shit.
Yeah, playing Marble like that. I feel like that's a relatively big deal for local musicians.
I've found that's one of the more coveted stages
Oh,
for
it-
local musicians.
Everyone I know is like, it's their favorite place to play. So I'm super excited and like
I'm
grateful.
super excited to play and then get kicked out right away.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she
'cause
can't
you're
even do
fucking-
that.
They're gonna let you in through the side gate.
Yeah.
They're gonna watch you go on stage. You'll
Yeah.
have a handler, and then right when the song's off, they'll yank your chain.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
And she's
I
gonna be in there
understand.
having a beer,
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the other side of the fence.
like with your juice box.
My juice box with my monster. Yeah, no, but like I get it. I understand. No hate to Marble.
Yeah.
But it's
I mean,
just
that's
kinda
cool.
funny,
That's
yeah.
cool that they have that.
Yeah.
You know, like the oh fuck, who was it? I had the kids from Thursday Marks Fall on here, and I'm like, yeah, we're playing Launchpad, and we love playing Launchpad, but we can't hang out. So
How old are they?
I didn't know. So they're all over 18.
Okay.
And if they weren't over 18, they wouldn't have been on the fucking podcast. That's just strange. But it is. Sorry, it's just strange. But I didn't know that one of those fuckers was still in high school.
Wow. They're so
all
talented.
They're all 18, and then I think their bassist is 19.
Wow.
And they're fucking they're killers.
They're killing it.
I saw
They're
them
doing
at
amazing.
I saw them at because they were attached to Savings and this other band. I forget who it was. Because me and my chick went to go see them at Sunshine, and they just fucking ripped.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, and I shot one of them a message on Instagram. I was like, you guys did better than the feature.
Yeah.
You guys should not have been the openers.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
But anyway, so Marble, October
Yes.
12th. Who you guys attached to? Like, what's the event?
there's
Like, what's it?
It's a monsoon music house event.
Okay,
But
cool.
it's
I don't even
There's-
know the lineup anymore. There was a
know.
recent date change, so some of us like some
Okay.
it's a
the
little
Moon
more
Thieves
unclear.
are headlining, and then
The Moon Thieves?
yes.
Okay.
And
We've also
then
got
the
Cold Rebels.
are playing. Who else? I don't even know because the lineup just recently changed, like she said. But
Cool.
it's gonna be
It'll
gonna
be
be cool.
good.
I think they're actually like announcing the lineup this week. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me a flyer and I'll attach it
Totally.
and all that
Awesome.
stuff. So
thank you.
this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You guys are cool.
Thanks for having
You're
us.
cool.
Congratulations on all of the recent success.
Thank you.
Congrats on the EP. It is good.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
not my typical flavor, but I enjoyed it a lot. I
Well,
really
thanks.
did. So
Thanks for
good job.
listening. Anyway.
Where can everyone find you guys on like social media, streaming, stuff like that?
Yeah, you can find us on Can I like
Yeah.
do it
Oh
on the
yeah.
cam?
Yeah.
You can find us. You can find us on Instagram at. You can find us on Instagram at sisterbaby band, and on all streaming platforms just under sisterbaby, one word.
Sweet.
Yep.
Well, again, thank you guys very much. I'd like to do this again sometime. This is a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Thanks for
For
having
sure.
us.
Thank you everyone for listening. Now I'm looking at the camera now. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye everybody.
Sick.
Sweet.
Awesome.